So, hello, this is the Stronger Business Together podcast, where business owners learn from each other as we go along. No theory, no gurus, just real journeys, real stories, and overcoming real hurdles. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Chris Kopec of Merge IT. Like any owner, he's in that middle of building things, fixing things, and growing something that really matters. So, Chris, welcome.
Morning. Afternoon, actually. Hi, Granger.
Absolutely. It's been a long day already, hasn't it, Chris?
Yeah, it was.
So, Chris, in plain English, what does your business do?
You're asking me to do a plain English. That's funny. I love that. We are the managed service provider that help you businesses get more from your IT. We term that IT from just a business expense or a cost center into the business enabler. That's us in a nutshell.
Excellent. I like that. Business enabler. We definitely need that with everything that we're doing all the time.
Absolutely.
So who do you love helping and what are they typically dealing with?
So we could technically help any business with their IT challenges. However, we tend to specialize in highly regulated industries, FCA regulated, anywhere that there's a strong compliance requirement in their everyday operation, where they put emphasis on the data security and operational security, stuff like that. So we thrive on compliance. And we absolutely love working with all that deliver services where they need to stick to some quite tight guidelines.
So a real sort of focus on those difficult industries that have a really tight requirement around being secure, I suppose.
They're not that difficult. They're the everyday businesses that keep us secure, because you wouldn't want your florist to keep a copy of your credit card and then using it somewhere. Stuff like that. Okay, florist might not be the best example, but it's not those kind of things.
Yeah, right. So it's keeping your clients secure, data, making sure that you're secure, and getting the best out of it. Excellent. And why did you start the business? What was the original idea?
Why did I start the business? Yes, I did that midlife crisis thing really well. So, I'm a Catholic, so obviously a divorce was a no-go. So I got myself a big black BMW and a new company. And 4 months later, the COVID started. So unfortunately, that was a godsend for my own business. We had space of weeks to shift a number of our customers from office work to remote work, online work, or many other different systems. So I've started because I wanted to do something on my own, and I've ended up helping several hundred people carry on with their own businesses during those really interesting times.
Absolutely. Yes, certainly. Yes. Excellent. And how's it progressed since then? What does it look like today in size and shape?
We are progressively growing year on year. We are building our customer base. We are slowly pivoting from just the help desk kind of guys where we fix issues into people that integrate on more of a strategic level with your businesses. One of our core products is the actual IT strategy, where we try and align your tools and services from our point of view into your wider business goals. And those tend to be the best relationships. Those tend to be the best customers where we actually align strategically over. And those strategies, they're not 5-minute jobs. They tend to be 3-year cycles, that kind of things. But those are the best customers for us.
And typically, what sort of customers are they, and why do they then pick you? How do they know they have these requirements?
The typical opportunity for us, it's a 10-user plus company, a couple of flavors, a couple of verticals, accountants, lawyers, architects. Anyone that delivers professional services themselves, and they know that the good service needs to be supported by a good service as well. So, and like I said, it's the people that are in highly regulated industries. I mean, give me ISO 27001 and I'll deliver that. So if you have a requirement from your supply chain for any higher levels of security or data protection, we thrive on that. We help businesses to deliver that.
Yes, I remember the days of 27001 being dropped on my plate. I wasn't even in IT, but I was the quality director, and it's a standard. So therefore, Granger, you can sort that out. Wow, that was an interesting time.
Statement of applicability, everyone's favorite.
Absolutely. Yes, and all those hundreds of requirements, etc., that within it all.
Absolutely.
So tell me about a customer win that you're particularly proud of.
Okay, so there might be not a a strictly business wins, but a couple of awards from this three-letter organization called BNI in the background. BNI is someone that generates me, I would say, 80% of new business leads. One of those was a charity in Wiltshire. That charity in Wiltshire put out a tender to take over their IT, take over their Office 365, that kind of things. We were the first ones to respond. We were the first ones to actually take really good care of them, to that extent that when the other tenders came in, we were actually helping them vetting everything, and then turned out we were the best priced. And the end-to-end implementation of the new solution or security solution from the initial request, they literally had 10 days till the contract renewal. Microsoft works on really tight deadlines. We've been able to deliver this in less than a week. Not a massive contract, not a massive customer, but we did win it on a customer service. And then that customer first approach to us is really important. And we then operate in the same level if you are a one-man band or there's 200 of you in a company. Same difference for us.
Brilliant. I mean, customer first is so important. One of the principles of Stronger Business Together is having really simple processes that delight your customers, retain them, and generate cash. So yeah, fantastic.
Absolutely.
You're doing that. Excellent. What are you aiming for in the next 12 months and why as a business?
We are pulling the team back into the office.
Okay.
In such a way that we are operating with a number of consultants. We are a little bit of a dinosaurs in the IT industry, given that there's very few IT companies that design and build those big systems from scratch, and that slowly is becoming quite a unique skill set to be able to deliver end to end. There's many companies that specialize in network, server deployment, and cloud, stuff like that. We are one of those guys that actually can do it end to end. However, I think now it's time to start training the younger people in this. So 2026 and 7 will be the time when we stop using consultants and start growing some in-house talent, I hope.
Excellent. Brilliant. That's really excited going forward. So let's move on to Act 2 now, which is your journey as a business owner. So you've talked about that initial start, just before COVID as well. But what was the problem that you were trying to solve in the marketplace back then?
It's the technology. It's a black box. And for quite a few people, that black box, you put something in, magic happens inside, and stuff happens on the outside. Quite a few business owners like myself, they didn't quite know what's going on in that magic, and then what's actually possible. And one of our, it's actually on our banner, is that we do realize that technology is a maze, and we try to guide you. We try to be your guides through that tech maze. Because I honestly think, my previous lives as an IT manager, IT director, C-suite member of pretty big companies, you see that IT as a cost center, and you need to spend X amount of pounds on a laptop, a desktop, and because it's part of the tool set you give to your employees. But
Yeah.
it was just quite reactionary. It was just a line in the budget, rather than, okay, if I'm going to use that system to its 100% capacity, this is actually going to save me time, money, working hours, and stuff like that. This is actually going to become a tool that will allow me to do more, be more, and achieve more. So this is a way to actually help you how to do more with the stuff you already have.
Yes. Oh, brilliant. And interestingly, in Stronger Business Together, one of our principles is to simplify your life. And when we set this business up, we actually reduced about 7 different software items from our software stack and really simplified and focused in on just a few key things, because as you say, it grows. It's that maze. Totally understand that. And we have this habit as business owners going, I'll just get a little bit more of this. And that looks really fun. Let's bolt that on. So yes.
We call it either the technology creep or tools sprawl, that kind of thing. Quite interesting. Even one of our higher ups in United, can we have a new tool? Natural default go to us. Yes, there's a new shiny, and then you turn around. Actually, the tool we're already using can't do the same. It's just we need to start using it properly rather than pay for another subscription. That is my party piece. That's my party trick when we walk into the customers, and I can probably, without even looking at the system, tell them that actually I'm going to save you money on month-to-month operating cost, because I'm going to bet you a pint or whatever that you are using tools that basically duplicate the use cases.
Brilliant. I love that. Bet you're a pint and we'll see what we can save you. So, Chris, as you build a business, there are times when it just gets hard, doesn't it? What did you learn about yourself and your own business when things got hard?
I think I was quite naive, like everyone that started their own business. And we had someone at one of the networking events actually saying that really one story. We asked him, so why did you start his business? And what he said is, I wanted more time and more control over our time. But there was 30 business owners in the room. Everyone just burst into laughter. So I wanted to have more control over my time, and I've wanted to have more control. I've never worked harder than I did for the last 6 years, for example.
For less money as well.
There were times, I'm not going to lie, even in an industry like mine, sometimes the guy on the desk right next to me on the first line, he was actually making more per hour than I. But it is what it is. You win some, you lose some, you learn on it. I've never knew you can be so adaptable, and I never knew that because if you work in someone else's business, you only do a chunk of it. You only do this narrow part of it. You do sales, you do admin, you do something else. When you are a business owner, you have the true holistic overview of how you do things and what needs to be done. And what you really quickly learn is, I will never be able to run my own finances. Can someone please help me with that? So that was the very first things I did. I'm a techie. I hate spreadsheets. I just don't work well with them. So that was one of the first things. I was like, finance, please talk to that person.
And you've talked about simplifying your clients' lives with technology. What have you changed? What did you used to sell? What do you sell now? What changed your mind and your focus of your business evolution?
Let me start with this way. This change is not complete, and this change, especially in my industry, it's constant. And for someone that didn't really like going to school, choosing a business where I need to learn every single day is quite ironic. Business started as a typical project kind of business. So we hired to do projects, hired to do chunks of infrastructure and handing over and stuff like that. Historically, I worked in an industry where we started as a break fixers. So if your laptop was broken, if your printer didn't work, or Wi-Fi was flaky, we were the guys to help them. The MSP model came in, managed service supplier, and we started being the on-call guys. We started being those that monitor, maintain, and be proactive with your systems. Then cloud happened, and all of a sudden those systems didn't have to be monitored and managed because there was no service on premise. Then the cyber crime started happening on a massive scale. So our industry slowly pivoted into this managed security service providers. That is never going to go away because that cybercrime it's a massive industry for the threat actors. So that's never going to go away. But then AI happened. And all of a sudden, because we started delivering the systems that are more stable, they don't need that much attention, and they don't need that much intervention from our side. Now, the stuff where we're pivoting to is the information management. So we use AI tools, although AI is slowly becoming a dirty word here. We are enabling businesses how to build their systems so AI can be actually plugged into them. We have 4 flagship products, and this AI enablement, as in making sure that the data is available, making sure the data is tidy and reasonably accessible to online tools. This is one of our core products now. And I can definitely see that we'll be slowly transforming into those people that will save you those 5 to 15 minutes on tidying up your emails every day, because we are going to enable you with the tools that will help you with that kind of things.
Yeah.
If they're going to have AI in the name, well, so be it. I'm not the biggest fan of calling them AI, but if we're going to call it business automation, that's even better because that's more professional in my opinion. But that's another iteration of my industry. That's another evolution of a company like mine.
Yeah. And it's interesting you talk about AI and sort of an underlying tone you have there about it, and I totally agree. Actually, the most important thing is having secure knowledge data that you understand and use, and then you can use AI to help you interpret and understand it. But so what would you never let AI do because it needs real human judgment? judgment.
And that's a really interesting thing, because we're using a tool now that has AI plugged into it. I would never, and there's a really good use case scenario, I'll never let ChatGPT know any of my personal details, because ChatGPT being a constantly evolving model, and actually it's learning on the data we feed it, and we never know where that data is going to be used. So that's, if you want to do stuff like that, that's for a closed AI models, those where you can actually control your own data, like Copilot, Microsoft Copilot. I know it's not getting the best of brands, but it's the safest at all those free available tools online. And again, it's a good old truth. If something is free, it means you are the product. It
Yes,
means because
absolutely.
it's free online AI tools plus personal data is a big no-no. Simple as that.
I was interested. I was talking to someone today about the difference between GPT and Copilot, because he'd just been introduced to GPT, and we talked about the security of his information structures. So totally agree.
No, I mean they use the same technology, so your results will be no different. It's just where the data is going to end up. That's a major difference.
So what do you do now to keep your business focused on doing the right things, and how do you keep your business healthy when it gets really busy?
How do I keep my business really healthy? We are. It's really simple rule. So we don't sell what we don't use ourselves. So we are sticking to the same guidelines we tend to offer to our customers. We have our own IT strategy. We have our own compliance portal where we actually track our own. For example, if we introduce a new product or service, we're the first ones to actually use it. So we know if something works or doesn't, and we are currently working towards ISO 27001, the new version, and we are aligning all the processes towards that. This is basically how we operate with customers. So one of the first things after we ask the customer, where do you want your business to be in 3 years' time? After they ask that question, the following question is, cool, so which compliance standard we are going to work towards? And then we are basically doing the same with them as we do with us. So most of them are working towards Cyber Essentials or Cyber Essentials Plus. But we've picked a slightly higher level of difficulty, and we went for ISO. But it's no difference. It's a standard, and you try to work towards achieving it.
Excellent. And how do you sort of keep focused and in a healthy business when it gets really busy, when there's too much to do? What's the sort of things you've developed within your business to manage all that?
Triaging is a first skill you learn as an IT person, and if you ever work more than 5 minutes in IT operations, a healthy triage, or it's a thing that's basically becomes your second nature or first nature after a while. I'm a big fan of Eisenhower's matrix, and everything is triaged by that actual model. So there's quite a few things that basically, okay, it's a new shiny, let's just drop it, that kind of things. Yeah. And absolutely, those things are in practice. What else? We standards like mailbox 0 or something like that, default calendars. So it's a lot of structure, because that firefighting can take over in an instant, and we are always on alert, because we have customers that operate 24/7, some of them, and we need to be able to react really quickly to many of those. That's one of the reasons that we are so proactive with our systems, where we try to predict issues, and if we know there are issues that will end in a disaster, we try to build systems around them so we can actually recover from those disasters really quick. So it's part of it. And other than that, it's the grit and perseverance.
Excellent. Love that. I love all those different pieces, and I use those and help my clients really sort of understand some of those aspects as well. Fantastic. So let's move on to Act 3 now, our hurdle, and we're going to sort of try and work through. So what have you picked as your big hurdle at the moment for us to work through and discuss?
Right. My big hurdle is the people that are around me, majority, or lack of some of those, because we are currently trying to recruit for 2 staff members, technical staff members, and I am up against 5 times national average of tech companies in Gloucestershire alone.
Okay.
Big building in in center of Cheltenham is producing, as a byproduct, is producing a lot of cybersecurity companies, a lot of tech companies from their ex-GCHQ people that used to work there or work for companies that work for ex-GCHQ. They just siphon every single bit of talent that actually appears in Gloucestershire. Little players IT try and compete against those big names or better funded names does not always stand chance. So yes, that's by heart though.
So finding and retaining the right talent within
Absolutely.
Gloucestershire. So talk me through what's happening today. What are the facts as you know them and feel them?
What happens is it's the young lads, young ladies that start in IT, they are plain and simple getting poached within a year or two.
How many starts have you had within, so let's say, the last 2 years? So how many starts have you had, new people starting with you that have then been poached and moved on? What are the numbers telling you?
Give you an example. There was a girl, age 27, change of careers, worked in hospitality, and decided, okay, actually IT, my boyfriend is IT, I want to become an IT. So we gave her the apprentice position and she started, she was really clued up, she still is, really clued up, got those systems, learned those systems really quick. At some stage actually started teaching other people that came through the company. And then 3 to 6 months, can't remember exactly now, she got an offer in Bristol and was closer to her, much more money, way more money, like I think 1/3 of her current salary. We just couldn't match it, simple as that. And she's been poached and she moved on to that extent that she had to actually have to give up a few of her months of her apprenticeship, and she started from scratch in the new place, new apprentice program, because she was just offered more money. So that's okay. one of the examples, and there's many of them, unfortunately.
So in the last 2 years, in numbers wise, how many of you started people that have then moved on within a year or less of doing that? We're talking 5, we're talking 20?
Six. There was six of them that actually went through really similar pace. So we trained them up.
And how many stayed?
None. That's the problem. That's why we have a couple of positions open, and we shifted for a good while. We shifted into contractors, subcontractors.
Yeah.
My industry is basically full of white labeled companies that can actually deliver things like that.
Okay.
But I'm still hell bent on giving the young people a chance.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. That's fantastic. So what have you tried to date trying to retain people then?
We're trying we're coming back to the strategy of we're working with Gloucestershire University, and we are going directly to them as a provider. We've literally just advertised, beginning of this month, we advertised 2 new positions for level 3 ICT apprentices, yes, with an option to change to a cybersecurity if one of them will want to pivot into that role. Those courses are 2-year long courses, and we are going to support them throughout those 2 years, and they will pretty much straight away, after obviously probation and all the other HR stuff like that, they'll be offered a permanent contract. They won't be treated as apprentices. They will be basically a full-time staff that actually has some additional training. I think this is the only way. So basically, they see the future with us. They have this stable, secure future with us, and they're not being treated as a second-grade employee, because this is not how we operate. I honestly want to train them for them to stay with me.
So let's think about what's you've mentioned salary, and that's always a difficult thing in any environment. But young people want to grow, don't they? And we all grow, and growing people is one of the principles of stronger business together. Because if you don't grow your people, they will grow elsewhere.
That's it.
So if we think about your business, and these young people that are joining, and you're helping to take them forwards, what do you think what are the things that are luring them away then? Okay, one is salary, but what else could be luring them away from remaining with you for a few years?
I think it's also a nature of the business, and I'll try not to swear too much. Nobody calls us when they're happy. My customers, unfortunately, they don't call us when they're happy. They call us when they're quite opposite. Something actually went wrong. Something is broken. That laptop was accidentally left on the roof of the car, and they cannot access their data now. And obviously, who's there to blame? It's Chris, or that poor lad that sits next to Chris. So this is whilst it's really rewarding, this can be quite stressful job as well. Imagine, I'll give you a silly example. You run a payroll company and you need to print 500 pay slips and they need to be printed and sent out on Wednesday. For example, you send them out by 12 o'clock on Wednesday, and 10 o'clock the printer goes down. And it's literally, you have that really short space of time, some time critical job to do, something that you need to basically just do it there and then, and it can be stressful. I'm not going to. This is really nice skill set to have, to be able to work under that kind of pressure. Not everyone wants it. Not everyone likes it. Not everyone will be able to cope with it for longer periods.
So rapid problem solving, high energy type activity,
high pressure
could be driving,
as
well. Could be driving them away. What else could be going on that they see, the grass is greener in a different way, place?
I mean, true techie will have that big problem with new shiny stuff in the background, and I'm one of them. You show me new shiny, I'm there, and those young people, because we tend to talk about fairly young people. If they have that attitude, they will do well in tech. However, that actually works against what I'm trying to teach them. So, new AI came out. Everyone is an AI consultant. Same thing happened with the cloud. Cloud happened. Everyone was a cloud consultant, and if you were in that industry for long enough, I was like, okay, this is literally the same tool that we've used for the last 20 years. Is just a different marketing, and many times is something like that. But that new shiny object appears, that $5,000 more in salary, that slightly different environment happens, and that's it. And those guys in recruitment, they know what they're doing. They know how to approach those people.
So let's just pick on those two. I'm sure there's lots, but we'd be talking all day probably. But let's just pick on those two.
Yeah.
So people that good at rapid high stress situations, managing those difficult types of things. The people that you've recruited to date, did they stand up in those environments? These 6 people that left.
Some of them did, and some of them, I think 2 of them actually changed careers because they said this flavor of IT is not for them. So absolutely, but a couple of them actually moved on. Yeah.
So how would you go about then? If that's a really important skill set that you need, which is different to writing code within an IT startup company, cybersecurity IT startup company. You're probably more writing code, and these days you're using AI to write code as well. So you're just being a coordinator, not even a developer anymore, which we'll get to in a moment. How would you find those type of people when you're doing your recruitment process? Does your recruitment process today think about those type of people?
Yes, we try to do that. Depends on.
I like the word "try" because the favourite phrase I have is I've done lots of that, and I go lots. Oh, I've done tens. Well, I've done one. How do you go about doing it? What's different?
So we try to play to their strengths, and those interviews. So okay, you can slide for 2-3 interviews. You can pretend that you're someone else for 2-3 interviews that last an hour each. What we tend to do then is invite them, stay with us for a day or two in the office environment, see how we operate, see what tools we use, see if
But they won't be seeing high pressure environment at that time, and you won't be seeing
always.
them under pressure.
No,
under pressure.
No.
So what could you do? What could you do differently then within your recruiting process to try and find those people that are more suited to that high pressure situation? Not that it's always high pressure. I do appreciate that, and there's some great times. But what could you do different?
That's a really good question. How can I do that different? Because you don't really want to be exposed to that kind of environment pretty much from the word go, because you would run about. You're like, okay, that's how this looks like every day. I am not saying.
You've got to train people in. I understand that. Yeah.
So we do give them exposure to some of those. We do give them exposure to types of issues, how we deal with them. After a while, and I've worked with, I would say, over 100, probably even 200 techies. You tend to read them quite quickly, and you figure out if how they behave. with if there's
But
small
that's still
issues.
later on after the process of recruitment,
Yeah,
isn't it? So, I mean, here's a thought for you. So, I did
go for it.
many years ago a interview with Toyota. One of the tests they do is now I look back and see it is an assessment of my management under pressure. So what they do is they get you to read a document, and then you have 6 filing locations to put it in, and then they give you 2 documents, and then they give you 4 documents, and they give you 8 documents, and the documents are just piling on, and they're testing you, and they say you've got to be able to hit so many per hour type activity, and there's stopwatches there, and they're just driving that. How do you manage under pressure? And do you start, and it's deliberately laid out so it's disorganized, so you end up trying to tidy it up as you're going along and making it easier, etc., for yourself. And what they're doing is they're trying to assess you under artificial pressure to see how you react and manage situations. So there might be things that you could do within your recruitment process to actually stimulate and start to test people. And I know there's psychometric testings and all those sort of things as well.
Yeah.
But what you're looking for are those people that manage under pressure, so they're the right type of people, but like it. Because what you don't want to do is recruit people who don't like that and leave, or people who then turn around in the future and say, I didn't like that pressure activity. You want those people that can do that at the time they need to do that and make that happen. So maybe thinking about your recruitment process could be one thing you could do. And I just want to go back to then that new technology stuff, and you said you deliberately don't want to do new technology because you want to do the right technology, etc. But what could you do to stimulate within your employees that excitement and fun, as you said, of new technology, but without affecting the business? What do you think you could do differently around that?
I mean, don't get me wrong, because we test new technology as it comes out. We are at the forefront of new technology. We were one of the first people in UK that actually built the AI cluster, and we actually did it that way. So rather than trying to use OpenAI, we actually built the hardware and installed the software that actually runs those. That was good few years ago. We relied heavily on Dell, Intel, and NVIDIA, those people to sponsor some of that hardware. So we do test it. The only thing is, after a while, you just know, like, this is just a rebrand of something it's not the actual new tech. It's just a rebrand. It's not just another name for the same thing.
And when you say you do it as a business, do you give it to your team members to manage? I call these small projects. Go away and learn about this new technology, or encouraging them to find new technology and bring it to a forum of discussion and testing it.
Years and years ago, Google, they probably still do it. They commit 20% of their time, of their working time, to do new businesses. That's how Gmail was built, for example.
Yeah,
I think Google Maps was a result of one of those.
It was. Yes.
We do something really similar, and our office is just basically a stack of older hardware that we just use as a lab, and you use it to build whatever you want. So new thing we are working on is the new customer portal with a new dashboard, for example. There's dashboards. That portal with dashboards, nothing new, absolutely nothing new. Our approach will be, or is slightly different, is basically something that actually pulls data from various, we're currently mapping out 6 different data sources and just brings it into a single pane of glass. And that's the hurdle. That's the technical challenge, is find yourself or build yourself a system that will, first of all, pull all the data together. And then just plugging one dashboard, another dashboard, any other product into the ready-made data is easier than actually building that data lake, data pool. That's one of the latest ones. We've been struggling with that, I'm not going to lie. Different data formats, different access methods to add to the complexity. Then the storage of the data itself adds the complexity. But yeah, we just spend time on just learning new things. New security product come out, we tested that kind of things.
And that's important to give that to your team, because we talked about young people we want to grow and develop. Actually, if they have got these small micro projects on the side, sitting alongside their day work, that they have permission now and then to work on, they're going to be then more likely to be part of the team. They're going to feel stronger, even if their ideas they go off and explore doesn't get pulled into the business. They've been given that time to be able to do that, and I think that's one of the aspects of building a culture within your business where people want to stay, and it's not just about salary. Now, you're never going to be able to compete against salary. Well, you can if your prices are right and your bottom line's right, but there is another solution. Is your prices right to be able to keep the people you want to keep? But if you can build that culture, and techies love to play with techie stuff.
Yeah,
Even if
that's
you
it.
don't build a product out of it, they're learning and growing and developing their own skill set. And that's another way of just trying to keep it sticky within the business. And most people may only stay for 5 years, but they'll stay longer if you're building that structure, finding the right person first and building that real stickiness within the organization, that it's not around you, it's around them,
That's
allowing
it.
them to play and to build that. So excellent.
I'll never discourage you from trying new technologies. That's how I learned, and that's how everyone else should learn, in my opinion. Cool.
So what two experiments could you run next week to start thinking about based on our discussion just now?
I like that high pressure. I'm going to call it testing environment. I like that. I'm going to figure out what to implement for that, because there might be something. One of the ideas is we have the communication or information overload, which is quite often, especially in those high stress moments where you have tickets, alerts, calls coming at you from every angle. So I think that will be really good way of testing it. And two, that's it. It might be a little bit more difficult one. I want to start pairing up those guys, and I think if they work in pairs, it might actually be more productive as well. But again, it's how to pair them. Yeah.
Excellent. And that's all we have to do as business owners. We have the hard problems, that's what we're paid to solve. We're paid to solve the really hard problems in our business. And when we solve those that other people can't copy, then we have something that's unique and different. It's always easy to say, this is hard, I don't know how to fix it. Actually, thinking, discussing, working through a set of problem solving type questions can trigger some really interesting thoughts. So fantastic. I look forward to seeing what happens next. So let's close and wrap up.
Okay.
So, Chris, what have you heard yourself say today that maybe surprised you?
Not sure if there was one, because when you work in your business, because I still class myself working in my business, that is your baby. You know that inside out, and maybe how advanced some of my thinking is. Because sometimes I do have this massive imposter syndrome, and sometimes I'm like, who the hell let me do that in the first place? But then you just said, I was like, actually, yeah, I'm doing this because I know one thing. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your honesty, Chris. So finally, how can people reach out and find you so they can follow more of your journey?
I'm super active on LinkedIn. Check out our websites. We're currently updating to become more modern. And if you ever meet me at BNI, just come and have a chat with me.
Super. Well, Chris, thank you so much for being so open today. And, I know our listeners will get an awful lot out of this conversation. So it's been fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me.